Hello there, and welcome to Dreamy Science. I'm so glad you're here. Maybe today felt too loud, or maybe your energy has been softly curling inward. Either way, you've arrived in the right place. Tonight, we won't be talking over each other or rushing to be heard. We'll be drifting slowly into the quiet inner world of introverts, where silence is not absence, but sanctuary. We'll wander through calm minds and rich inner landscapes, explore the science of solitude, the rhythm of quiet thought, and the hidden beauty of turning inward. And as we drift, there's nothing to solve, nothing to prove, just breath, just stillness, just rest. If these calm explorations help you unwind, consider liking and subscribing. It helps more quiet minds find their way here, one sleepy soul at a time. Introversion and shyness are not the same. One is a preference for calm, low stimulus environments. The other, a fear of social judgment. Introversion is not fear. It is comfort with the quiet. While shyness may hesitate out of worry, introversion steps gently back to breathe. An introvert doesn't avoid people. They simply prefer peace to noise, meaning to momentum. Crowds do not scare them, but they drain them. The difference is not in courage or confidence, but in how the nervous system gathers and releases energy. Imagine a soft, mossy forest path. Some walk slowly because it feels good to move with the trees, not because they fear what's ahead. That's introversion. It's the art of choosing inwardness. It's the science of low stimulation, brains attuned to subtlety, not spectacle. In a world built for noise, introverts are sometimes mistaken for distant or shy, but they are neither. They are tuned to quiet frequencies, to listening, to reflection. Like a tide pool after the storm, they carry calm inside them, not as a retreat, but as a resource. So, if you've ever felt different at a party or tired after a conversation you enjoyed, know that you're not alone. It's not weakness, it's wiring. Let that understanding be your softness tonight. You are not broken. You are calibrated to a quieter channel. And now, as the day unwinds behind you, let your thoughts slow. Let the silence stretch. You are safe in your stillness, and there is nothing you need to perform. Just be. Introverts show more activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area linked to deep thinking and decision-making. Their brains tend to light up during reflection, not reaction. Imagine a mind that glows softly in stillness. For introverts, the brain's architecture is a sanctuary, not a spotlight. Activity hums not during loud exchanges or fast reactions, but in the gentle process of thought. Their prefrontal cortex, the region of planning, meaning, and self-awareness, flickers to life when things grow quiet. That's where introversion lives, not in behavior, but in biology. While others might seek stimulation to light their minds, introverts often find clarity in the absence of noise. Their brains are less reward-driven, less reactive to dopamine surges. Instead, they savor the longer arc, ideas that stretch, patterns that unfold, deep thought rather than fast thrill. This wiring doesn't make them slow, it makes them spacious. They can hold complexity without panic, carry contradiction with care. Like deep ocean currents moving under a calm surface, their thoughts are rarely idle, just unseen. You might notice an introvert quietly listening while others speak. Their silence is not vacancy, it is processing. Their stillness is not distance, it is presence in another dimension. A brain tuned not to respond instantly, but to respond meaningfully. So tonight, as your own mind begins to soften, let this be a reminder. Not all brilliance burns brightly. Some glows low and steady. Some lives in the deep grooves of reflection, and in that depth there is comfort. Let your thoughts wander inward and rest in your own quiet circuitry. Introverts react differently to dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Too much stimulation can feel overwhelming rather than exciting. In the dance of brain chemistry, dopamine is the spotlight. It drives excitement, reward, anticipation, and it surges during social engagement, novelty, and thrill. But for introverts, that spotlight feels too bright. Their brains are more sensitive to dopamine, meaning what excites others can overwhelm them. A busy room, a ringing phone, a rapid-fire conversation. It isn't dislike, it's overflow. Where extroverts may need more stimulation to feel awake, introverts often feel flooded by it. Their pleasure lives in the gentle, in soft textures, in quiet music, in meaningful words exchanged without rush. Imagine standing in sunlight, too little and you shiver, too much and you burn. Introverts need shade, not because they dislike the light, but because they feel it more intensely. This is not about limitation, but rhythm. It's why introverts may leave a lively event early, not in sadness, but in saturation. Why a walk alone can feel like a reset. Why silence after stimulation feels like exhale. The reward system in their brain doesn't seek more, it seeks meaning, not volume, but depth, not speed, but presence. It's a difference in tuning, not value. As you breathe now, in your quiet space, know that your desire for calm isn't strange. It's neurological poetry. Your brain prefers the hush. Tonight, let your dopamine rest. Let the noise fall away. Your nervous system is safe here, bathed in softness. For introverts, solitude isn't lonely. It's fuel. It's a time to reset, to recalibrate, to return. Solitude is not an empty room. It is a full landscape without interruption. For introverts, it's the place where the noise fades and the self returns, whole, unmasked, and deeply alive. The absence of others doesn't deplete them. It fills them back up. In solitude, introverts breathe deeper. Thoughts that were jumbled in conversation begin to untangle. Emotions that were muffled by noise begin to surface gently, like leaves on a quiet pond. This is not escape, it's homecoming. In the stillness, they process, reflect, and recover. Imagine a forest after rain, the hush, the smell of wet earth, the tiny movements of life returning. That's solitude for the introvert, a place where energy doesn't leak out, but returns inward. It's why they seek quiet mornings, solo walks, or even just a moment behind a closed door. This time alone doesn't mean they dislike company. It means they metabolize experience differently. Solitude is their recharge, a sacred pause before the next wave of doing, giving, speaking. Tonight, let that solitude wash over you. Let it cleanse the residue of the day. You are not withdrawing. You are reweaving yourself, one thread at a time. Rest in your own presence. It's more than enough. Many introverts have more active internal monologues. Their thoughts are often rich, layered, and self-sustaining. Beneath the surface of silence, there is often a voice, not loud, but constant. Introverts live with this quiet companion, the inner monologue. It's not always words. Sometimes it's impressions, questions, visual scenes playing behind the eyes, a world within the world. Their thoughts don't just skim, they spiral, they reflect, repeat, and deepen. This isn't overthinking, it's inner dialogue, a way of mapping experience through reflection. Many introverts rehearse conversations before they happen. They narrate the day, in gentle fragments. They play back memories like scenes from a favorite book, reliving them not out of nostalgia, but because they linger in texture. This active mind is rarely bored, even in waiting rooms or long walks. It stays busy, noticing, imagining, connecting. It can feel like a radio that never turns off, sometimes comforting, sometimes exhausting, but always rich. And when introverts speak, this inner dialogue emerges shaped like sea glass, polished by waves. Their words carry the weight of thought. Their silences are full, not empty. As you drift now, let your own inner voice soften. Let it whisper, not analyze. Let it curl around images that soothe instead of questions that loop. Your mind doesn't need to quiet. It only needs to slow. Let your thoughts be a lullaby, not noise, not chatter, just a rhythm, just a breath, just you. Extroverts gain energy from interaction, but introverts recharge in silence. The difference isn't about ability, but direction. Energy for introverts doesn't arrive in applause or conversation. It gathers in the quiet corners, like morning dew on leaves. After a long day of talking, performing, reacting, something inside begins to dim, not in sadness, but in saturation. They need stillness not because the world is bad, but because their flame burns differently. In solitude, the embers glow again, a single moment of silence, a walk alone, the hush of a book's page. These are not escapes, but refueling stations. Imagine energy as a tide. For extroverts, it rolls in with people. For introverts, it returns with retreat. This isn't a flaw. It's a rhythm, one that moves inward, not outward, a natural ebb and flow between expression and restoration. Introverts can enjoy company, laughter, even crowds, but afterward, they seek the darkened room, the gentle breath, the moment alone where nothing is expected. There, their nervous system exhales. There, their thoughts stop shouting over noise. Tonight, your energy is your own. Let it pull back to center. Let the outer world fall away, soft as petals at dusk. You do not need to chase excitement to feel alive. Your aliveness is quieter, deeper. It gathers like twilight, slow, gentle, complete. Introverts tend to prefer a few close connections. Their friendships run deep, not wide. In a room full of people, an introvert looks for one, maybe two, with whom the conversation can slow, deepen, stretch. Surface chatter flickers past like wind in tall grass, but a real connection that lingers like scent on a worn sweater. They don't collect acquaintances like trinkets. They build bonds like tree roots, slow, unseen, but unshakable. To an introvert, knowing someone means knowing their silences, their pauses, their unsaid truths. It means sitting in comfort without the pressure to perform. Their friendships don't sparkle, they glow, dimly, steadily, through time and trust. This is why introverts may not call often, may not be seen in crowds. But if you've been chosen, truly chosen, you'll know. They'll show up in crisis. They'll remember your quiet preferences. They'll sit with you, not to fill space, but to hold it. Depth matters more than numbers. A single meaningful exchange can be more satisfying than hours of mingling. Their social world may look small from the outside, but within it are galaxies of meaning, laughter, vulnerability, and care. So tonight, if you feel like you have only a few close people, treasure that. That's all an introvert needs. And if you're still seeking, know this. Connection isn't a race. It's a slow unfolding, a quiet thread woven gently through time. Small talk can be draining for introverts. It demands outward effort without inward meaning. How are you? Crazy weather, right? These phrases dance like leaves, light but empty. For introverts, small talk is like running in place, exhausting, without direction. It's not that they're antisocial, it's that they crave meaning, a real story, a shared vulnerability, a pause that holds weight. Without that, the performance of politeness can feel like noise. Neurologically, small talk triggers surface-level social circuits. It keeps the brain alert, scanning, reacting, a kind of constant micro-performance. For introverts, whose energy flows inward, this outward balancing act burns fuel fast. A few minutes might be fine, but after long stretches of cheerful exchanges with no depth, fatigue sets in, not emotional, but cognitive, a subtle ache for quiet. Introverts don't dislike people. They dislike pretending not to feel deeply. They long to ask, "What moved you today?" instead of "What do you do?" They want to speak of dreams, not just duties. And when those moments come, when someone opens up, when a conversation slows and the masks drop, the fatigue lifts. In that space, introverts come alive. Real talk nourishes where small talk drains. So if you're tired after a long day of "how's it going?" let yourself rest. Your hunger for depth isn't wrong. It's your nature. Tonight, no small talk, just stillness, just truth, just the soft comfort of being understood, even if only by yourself. Many introverts develop elaborate inner worlds. These imaginations can rival novels, full of detail and feeling. In the quiet, introverts build kingdoms. Castles rise in their minds, forests unfurl, conversations with imaginary characters echo in silent corridors. They may look still on the outside, but inside there is movement, not frantic, but flowing. Their imagination is not escapism, it's architecture, a place to explore, a place to dwell. As children, many introverts spent hours lost in thought, not bored, but building. Entire afternoons passed in fantasy, in possibility. Even now, those inner landscapes remain. Dreams are not reserved for sleep, they bloom in wakened solitude. This vividness is backed by science. Brain imaging studies show greater activation in regions tied to imagination, reflection, and sensory memory. It's as if the world outside isn't enough, not because it's lacking, but because the inner world is so rich. An introvert may recall a childhood room in perfect detail, may replay a conversation with edits, variations, outcomes, may imagine futures not yet lived, not to avoid the present, but to feel it more fully. And in this moment, as you close your eyes, your inner world awakens again. Let it stretch its limbs, let it roam. You don't need to explain it. No one needs to see it. Just wander through the landscape within you. It's yours, it's sacred, and tonight, it welcomes you home. Introverts often have a calmer baseline of brain activity. Their minds move slowly but deeply. Still waters run deep, and in the introverted mind, that calmness is not laziness, but capacity. Studies suggest their brains have a lower threshold for stimulation, which means they're already tuned in. They don't need a whirlwind of noise to feel alive. In fact, too much input can scatter their thoughts. They thrive where there's space, where the mind can unfold slowly, deliberately. This calm baseline allows for extended thought, layered understanding, and emotional nuance. It's why they may seem unbothered by chaos, because internally they're already moving beneath the storm. Their processing is slow, not from slowness, but from care. Each thought is traced, turned, and weighed. Introverts often speak only after thinking, and think long after speaking. They are less reactive, more reflective, and that quiet processing creates clarity, depth, peace. In a world that values speed, this slowness is a gift. It brings steadiness in crisis. It allows others to feel safe in their presence. It turns silence into sanctuary. Tonight, as you drift into rest, let your mind slow to its natural rhythm. Let go of the day's urgency. Your thoughts don't need to hurry. Let them move like water over stone, smooth, patient, deep. There is wisdom in your calm. Let it cradle you now. In smaller settings, introverts thrive. One conversation holds more meaning than a dozen fleeting ones. There is a quiet magic in speaking to just one person. No distractions, no fragmented energy, just a soft exchange of thoughts unfolding between two minds. For introverts, these one-on-one moments are not only preferred, they are essential. A single meaningful dialogue can feel more nourishing than a full evening of group chatter. It's not about fear or discomfort, it's about resonance. A room full of voices competes for attention, but one voice, steady and present, becomes a shared world. In these smaller spaces, introverts are not overwhelmed by the need to perform. Their minds can stretch out, unguarded. They speak more slowly, more thoughtfully. They listen not just to words, but to pauses, the way someone shifts, breathes, hesitates. It's in those tiny moments that connection deepens. Friendships built in these quiet spaces are rooted, not scattered. There's room for depth, for questions that linger, for silence that's shared rather than filled. Introverts often seek these moments with a close friend, a partner, a mentor, because within them they feel seen, not scanned, understood, not summarized. So tonight, let go of the crowded places. Picture yourself in conversation with someone who listens, really listens. Let your thoughts rise gently, not rushed. In the softness of that imagined dialogue, you can rest, you can breathe, because sometimes the smallest exchange holds the most profound peace. Crowded, noisy places may raise cortisol, the stress hormone, in introverts. Their systems are tuned to notice more. For introverts, stepping into a busy room is like walking into a windstorm of sensations. Every light flicker, every overlapping voice, every subtle movement, it all registers. Their nervous systems are finely tuned, not fragile, but sensitive. And in this heightened awareness, stress chemicals can rise more quickly. Cortisol, the body's alarm bell, begins to hum. The body tightens, the breath shallows, and the mind whispers, retreat. This doesn't mean introverts are anxious or incapable. It means they're biologically responsive. Their brains aren't filtering out excess noise as efficiently, so the stimulation builds. What might feel energizing to others can feel draining to them, not because they lack stamina, but because they are receiving too much signal at once. This sensitivity has benefits. It brings awareness to nuance, to detail, to quiet shifts in mood or meaning. But in chaotic environments, it can overwhelm. That's why introverts often need decompression after crowds, time alone, a quiet room, soft light, something familiar. Your system, if it feels overloaded, is simply asking for balance. There is no weakness in needing quiet. There is no failure in stepping away. So tonight, step inward. Let the lights dim. Let the volume drop. Imagine your cortisol falling. Like gentle rain after a storm, your body knows how to return to calm. All it needs is permission and stillness. Let that stillness hold you now. Stillness allows the introverted brain to process. Without it, their thoughts feel scattered, stretched. For some, silence is background. For introverts, it is fuel. It is the medium through which thought can travel. In a noisy world, their mind pulls inward, not to hide, but to make sense of things. Every interaction, every new idea, every subtle shift in feeling, all of it needs room to settle. Stillness creates that room. Without it, thoughts stack up like unread pages, each one waiting to be understood. The introverted brain processes deeply, but deep processing takes time. It needs space, free from interruption, where threads of memory can be followed and connections can emerge. This is not procrastination, it is incubation, a pause that allows clarity to bloom. When too much noise crowds the mind, an introvert may feel foggy, fragmented. Their thoughts tug in opposite directions, but give them quiet, even a few minutes, and the fog lifts. Ideas cohere, feelings settle, the world softens into something they can hold again. So if your mind has felt stretched today, if your thoughts feel like birds scattering at a loud sound, give them the quiet they crave. Let the noise drain from your body. Let your breath anchor you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply wired for silence. And in that silence, your true rhythm returns. Introverts often prefer listening, reading, and reflection over group participation. Learning is a private unfolding. Some minds thrive in classrooms full of noise, hands raised, ideas tossed around like sparks. Others, like introverts, absorb more quietly. They listen longer, write more slowly, pause before responding. Their learning doesn't always bloom in real time. It brews afterward, in solitude, in silence, in thought. An introvert may leave a discussion and only hours later realize what they truly think. They may reread a passage 3 times, not because they're confused, but because they're savoring. Learning for them is not a race. It's a spiral, inward, layered, soft. In group settings, they might appear reserved, but their minds are far from still. They are mapping meaning, connecting dots, pulling threads. Their questions may come later, their insights may take time, but when they arrive with weight. This isn't about shyness, it's about rhythm. Introverts learn best when the pace allows for pause, when the voice is quiet, when the material can seep in, not just bounce off. So, if you've ever felt out of place in loud learning spaces, know this: your style is not lesser. It's just different. Tonight, imagine a quiet library, soft light, slow pages, your mind open like a calm sea. In that space, learning isn't performance, it's presence, and your presence is enough. Introverts tend to observe before acting. They watch patterns, gather context, and only then engage. Where others leap, introverts linger. They scan the room, read the tone, feel the current before stepping in. This isn't hesitation, it's preparation. It's the way their mind works best, absorbing first, responding second. Observation is not a delay, it's a dance of awareness. Introverts are often attuned to the unseen, a shift in posture, a change in mood, a pattern in behavior. They notice what others miss, not because they're trying to, but because they're wired to. Their minds are constantly gathering context, building a map before setting foot on the path. This watchfulness can be misread as aloofness, but it's not distance, it's depth. When they do speak, when they do act, their words carry intention, their steps are grounded. In a world that rewards quick responses, this slower rhythm is often overlooked, but it is powerful. It brings thoughtfulness. It brings insight. It brings a steadying presence to chaos. Tonight, let go of the pressure to act quickly. Rest in the knowledge that observation is a form of wisdom. You don't need to react right away. You're allowed to watch, to wait, to wonder. Let your mind soften into this pause. You are not late. You are simply thoughtful. And that is enough. In quiet conditions, introverts can sustain focus for longer. Their minds nest into tasks like a hand into soft clay. Distraction may buzz at the edges of the world, but when an introvert finds stillness, their mind slips beneath the noise. It's not just attention, it's immersion, a kind of mental cocooning. When the surroundings are gentle, when demands fall silent, their thoughts sink into a task like roots into deep soil. Time blurs, noise fades, focus deepens. This isn't about discipline, it's about environment. Introverted minds, when not overstimulated, are capable of astonishing concentration. They don't skim, they absorb. They don't leap, they settle. Whether reading, writing, painting, coding, or just thinking, they flow inward, not in haste, not in fear, but in devotion. In these moments, ideas unfold naturally. There's no rush to produce, just a gentle unraveling. The world outside may chatter and flicker, but inside, a quiet rhythm holds. This is why solitude is sacred. It isn't emptiness, it's a container for depth. So tonight, picture yourself returning to that quiet. Imagine a soft lamp, a familiar space, the hush of late hours. Let your thoughts anchor into something small and slow. There is no pressure to finish. Just let your mind curl around a single thread. In the stillness, your focus becomes a kind of peace. Many introverts are more sensitive to light, sound, and crowds. Their systems notice subtleties others might miss. The world moves loudly, flashing screens, sudden voices, overlapping layers of stimulation. For introverts, this noise is not just external, it enters the body. Their systems, finely tuned, respond to what others may overlook. A fluorescent light may hum too sharply. A crowded room may press in like static. A jarring sound may linger long after it's gone. But sensitivity is not fragility, it's perception. It means their minds catch details, the texture of a sound, the edge of a scent, the flicker of emotion on someone's face. It means noticing when the room changes, when the mood shifts, when something beautiful passes by quietly. This awareness can be a gift, in art, in empathy, in intuition, but it also needs balance. Overstimulation comes quickly. A day of too much can leave the nervous system frayed. That's why introverts often retreat, not to disappear, but to recalibrate. So tonight, close your eyes. Let the brightness fade. Let the air grow still. Imagine a room with soft colors, muffled walls, a warm blanket of quiet. Here, nothing demands your attention. Nothing pulls at your senses. You are safe in this hush. Let your body soften. Let your system exhale. You've noticed enough today. Now it's time to rest. Introverts often flourish in solo creativity. In solitude, their ideas find space to bloom. There's a kind of beauty that only grows in quiet corners, the slow flowering of ideas untouched by noise. For introverts, solitude is not a barrier to creativity, but its birthplace. When the world dims, when expectations fall away, their minds begin to wander freely. They write without judgment, sketch without direction, dream without noise. It is in these moments, long walks alone, late nights with music, quiet afternoons by the window, that creative sparks turn to flame. The inner world, so often hidden in busier hours, comes alive. A whisper of thought becomes a scene, a memory becomes a melody. Imagination unspools without interruption. They don't need brainstorming sessions or fast feedback. They need time, space, room to meander. Their work may not burst forth. It may arrive like mist, like waves, like unfolding paper, but it arrives rich with feeling, full of meaning. If you've ever felt your best ideas arrive when no one is watching, know this: solitude is not emptiness, it is fertile ground. Tonight, imagine yourself alone but never lonely, in a soft room, a quiet park, a starlit dream. Let the silence wrap around your creativity like a gentle cloak. Here, there is no pressure, just space to become. Introverts feel deeply, but inwardly. Their emotions ripple in slow, internal waves. To the outside world, they may seem still, unreadable, reserved, but inside, an introvert's emotions run vast. Their sadness is not loud, their joy is not flashing, but both are full, immersive, and lasting. They feel like rivers, steady, winding, deep beneath the surface. This inner emotional world is often unshared, not out of secrecy, but because it moves slowly. They need time to name what they feel, to sit with it, to trace its origin. Reactions don't explode outward, they echo inward. This reflection gives their emotions shape, texture, and meaning. They may cry in solitude, they may celebrate quietly, but what they feel is no less real. In fact, it may be more enduring, remembered years later with the same intensity. Their empathy is deep, their care unwavering, but they offer it gently, not loudly. So if the world has ever mistaken your quiet for coldness, know that silence can hold oceans. If your waves have moved too slow for others to see, know that you still moved mountains. Tonight, let your feelings settle without force. Let them flow like tides across a moonlit shore. There is no need to explain, just feel and rest. Introspection breeds self-awareness. Many introverts know their boundaries, values, and needs with quiet clarity. When you spend time within, you learn your own shape. Introverts, who often dwell in thought and reflection, develop a subtle yet steady understanding of themselves. They know what drains them, what lifts them, where their edges are. They may not announce it, but they carry that clarity quietly. Self-awareness for them is not a concept. It's a rhythm. They feel it when they decline an invitation, when they protect their time, when they choose rest over rush. It's in the boundaries they set not to control others, but to protect their inner light. This kind of knowing brings calm. It means fewer identity crises, fewer moments of confusion. When the world pulls in too many directions, they return inward. They ask, does this align? Is this mine to carry? They listen not just to thoughts, but to sensations, the rise of tension, the drop of peace. Tonight, you don't have to question who you are. You've already done the work. You know the shape of your quiet. You know what your energy needs. So rest in that knowing, like a tree rooted in familiar soil. You don't have to bloom for anyone right now. You only have to breathe. Introverts are often motivated by inner standards. Accomplishment is measured in meaning, not applause. The world often applauds volume, visibility, and validation, but introverts tend to follow a quieter compass, one drawn not by cheers, but by clarity. For them, the most meaningful rewards are internal. Finishing a task with care, solving a problem in solitude, creating something thoughtful, even if no one sees it. Their joy comes not from being seen doing, but from knowing they did it well. An essay written in the hush of early morning, a garden tended without witness, a thought carried gently into form. These are not acts of performance. They are offerings to the self. It's not pride they seek. It's peace, not praise, but purpose. When something aligns with their values, when it feels whole, they feel complete without the need to explain it. Applause may be welcome, but it is not required. Tonight, imagine this kind of contentment: the quiet after a task well done, the stillness after a small, significant effort. There is no audience, no rush to share, only the slow warmth of inner reward glowing like coals in the heart. You don't need to prove your worth. You've already felt it. Let that be enough. Time alone teaches limits. Many introverts set gentle, firm boundaries to protect their energy. Not all boundaries are walls. Some are more like hedges, living, breathing, protective. Introverts often learn through experience and necessity where their limits lie, not because they don't care for others, but because they've learned how quickly their energy can thin in the wrong spaces. Time alone sharpens this awareness. After too much noise, they feel it, a kind of fraying at the edge of the mind, a thinning of attention, of presence. So they begin to build rhythms that honor their needs, leaving a gathering early, saying no kindly, choosing quiet over obligation. These boundaries are not defiance, they're restoration. Each one is a door that opens inward. When protected, introverts can give more freely, but only when they've had time to refill their well. So if you've ever stepped back when others stepped forward, know that your boundary was not weakness. It was wisdom, a gentle fence, not a fortress. Tonight, give yourself full permission to withdraw, to soften, to be with yourself and no one else. You've given enough today. Now it's your turn to receive. The introverted nervous system thrives on minimal stimulation. They can be content with the simple, the still. Some minds hunger for motion, music always playing, conversations always spinning. But for introverts, stillness is a kind of feast. Their nervous systems aren't bored by quiet. They're nourished by it. A breeze through curtains, a single candle flickering, a book with unhurried pages. Where others seek more, introverts seek less. And in less, they find depth. A slow walk instead of a party, a silent room over a bustling cafe. Not because they reject life, but because they feel it so fully. Too much can overwhelm. Too fast can scatter. So they curate their surroundings. Dim lights, soft textures, gentle tones. They build environments that mirror their own internal tempo, calm, careful, intentional. And in those spaces, they don't just survive, they thrive. Ideas bloom, thoughts clarify, emotions settle. The world becomes digestible again. So tonight, let this be your minimal moment. No noise, no brightness, just you, a breath, and the quiet. This is not empty, it is enough. Introverts often form intricate ethical systems. These aren't preached, but practiced quietly. Not every belief is broadcast. Some live deep inside, quiet codes carried like river stones in the pocket. Introverts often develop their sense of right and wrong through long reflection, not borrowed from loud voices, but built piece by piece from observation, intuition, and lived experience. Their ethics are not about rules. They're about resonance, what feels aligned, what honors others without betraying the self, what would still matter even if no one ever found out. They don't need to announce their values to act on them. You'll see it in their consistency, their kindness, their restraint. They may walk away from gossip, help without fanfare, or stay silent when words would wound, not because they seek moral high ground, but because their compass points inward, and when they fall short, as all humans do, They turn to introspection, not excuses. They trace the misstep, ask why, and adjust. Ethics for them are living things, always evolving, always examined. Tonight, let go of performance. You don't need to explain your principles. You've lived them. Let that be your peace. Subtext, silence, tone. Introverts are fluent in the unspoken. They notice more than they express. A glance across a room, the pause in someone's voice, the flicker of tension behind a smile. Where others hear words, introverts hear texture. They tune into tone, rhythm, and quiet gaps. The meaning carried not by sound, but by what surrounds it. It's not magic, it's attention. Their minds are wired to listen deeply, to sense undercurrents. This makes them perceptive friends, thoughtful partners, intuitive coworkers. They may not always speak quickly, but they often understand early. They also feel what goes unsaid in themselves, the emotions with no name, the thoughts just out of reach. This inner fluency makes them sensitive, sometimes burdened, but also beautifully attuned. They don't need noise to connect. A shared silence, a subtle gesture, a mutual stillness, these are enough. So tonight, step into that quiet fluency. Listen not to voices, but to feelings, to the room, to your own heartbeat. There's nothing you need to say, just rest in what's already understood. After social events, introverts may feel drained, even if they enjoyed it. Recovery is part of the rhythm. Connection doesn't always mean energy. For introverts, even joyful gatherings can leave a soft ache, a kind of spiritual tiredness that hums beneath the surface. They may laugh, listen, share, be fully present, but when the last conversation fades and the room empties, a need rises like tidewater, solitude, stillness, silence. This is not rejection, it's recovery. The mind, stretched thin by sound and interaction, begins to pull back towards center. The body slows, the heart asks for less. It's not about disliking others, it's about remembering oneself. Some may not understand this retreat, but for introverts, it's vital. Without it, the world becomes too loud, too bright. Sleep comes harder, thoughts scatter, so they learn to build in buffer time, quiet rituals after noise, a walk alone, a cup of tea in the dark, a book opened not for information, but for rhythm. And slowly, the energy returns, not in a rush, but like breath finding its natural pace again. Tonight, if you feel tired from others, even those you love, that's okay. Let your energy return in layers. Let this silence refill you. You are allowed to rest from connection. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. Many introverts choose words carefully. Silence is not emptiness, it's precision. In a world that often equates speed with intelligence, introverts carry a different tempo. Their thoughts move like deep rivers, not rushing, but winding, gathering meaning along the way. When they pause before speaking, it's not hesitation. It's honoring the weight of words. They speak with intention, not to fill silence, but to shape it. Each sentence is chosen, not spilled. Each pause is part of the rhythm, and often what they say lingers longer because of that. Thoughtful, distilled, deliberate. This quiet care can be misunderstood, mistaken for aloofness, shyness, or disinterest. But in truth, it's the opposite. They're deeply engaged, just inwardly first. They listen not only to what's being said, but to what they might offer in return, not to win, but to connect meaningfully. Their silences are not gaps. They are gardens where words are planted with care. Tonight, let yourself drift into that same deliberate calm. There is no pressure to reply, no urgency to explain. Let your thoughts rise slowly. Let them shape themselves without hurry. The most meaningful things are often said after silence, and sometimes silence itself says the most. Predictable rhythms bring peace. Routine offers introverts a reliable frame for their thoughts. To some, routine feels like a cage, but for introverts, it can be a sanctuary, a calm scaffolding that cradles the mind. Knowing what comes next doesn't dull their curiosity. It steadies their spirit. It gives the mind space to wander, to dream, without fearing chaos. Routines soothe the nervous system. Morning tea in the same cup, a walk at dusk, the way sunlight moves across a familiar room. These rituals are not lifeless repetition. They are grounding, like gentle tides returning again and again to shore. In routine, time becomes friendly, predictable, kind. The world stops demanding surprise. Instead, it hums along at a known pace, letting thoughts bloom in quiet safety. And within this frame, introverts find room to think more clearly, to create, to breathe without tension. Like a painter who thrives within a canvas edge, they use structure not to confine, but to expand. Tonight, let the familiar hold you, the weight of the blanket, the hush of your room, the dim patterns you always notice before sleep. Routine is not dullness. It is peace shaped into time. They often solve problems by turning inward. Reflection precedes action. When a challenge arises, some talk through it, bouncing ideas aloud until something clicks. But introverts often do the opposite. They retreat, not to escape, but to understand. Their problem solving is like deep sea diving, silent, patient, immersive. They carry the issue with them quietly, through walks, dreams, notebooks. They turn it over in their mind, like a smooth stone, feeling for the hidden angle, the quiet truth. To outsiders, it might seem like inaction, but inside, a quiet engine is humming. When the answer comes, it's not shouted. It emerges, gentle, thoughtful, tested. They act not in panic, but in precision. This internal process is a kind of alchemy. Solitude becomes clarity. Reflection becomes solution. They don't fear complexity. They lean into it, slowly untangling until the knot softens. Tonight, if something weighs on your mind, you don't need to force an answer. Let it drift with you into sleep. Let your inner process continue quietly, like tide reshaping stone. Solutions come not only in struggle, but in stillness, lighting, sound, space. These matter. Introverts often curate their surroundings like gardeners of calm. Some notice the grand gestures of a room, the size, the color, the decor, but introverts notice the texture of light, the hum of machines, the weight of silence. Their senses are tuned to subtlety. A fluorescent buzz might feel like a shout, harsh lighting like a slap, clutter like noise. So they adapt. They dim lights, close doors, arrange spaces gently. They turn down the volume of the world, not out of fussiness, but survival. In curated calm, they breathe easier. Their thoughts flow. Their nervous system softens. They build cocoons, not to hide, but to bloom. A certain chair, a familiar scent, a blanket with weight. These are not accessories. They are tools of peace, and when others enter these spaces, they often feel it too. The softness, the intention, the care woven into the quiet. Tonight, let your space reflect your needs. Lower the lights, soften the sounds, make a nest that holds you like hands in shadow. You deserve an environment that feels like a whisper, not a demand. Introverts often have rich dreamscapes. Sleep becomes an extension of their imagination. For introverts, The quiet of the outer world often opens a door to an inner universe, and when sleep comes, it doesn't arrive as an empty pause. It unfolds like a second life. Their dreams stretch long and deep, threaded with colors and places that don't need to make sense, only to feel real. A hallway from childhood, glowing with impossible light, a forest that whispers with memories, a sky that bends like a story, because so much of their waking life is contemplative, layered with thought, emotion, and observation. Their minds continue weaving even while at rest. These dreams aren't always dramatic. Often, they're just textured, rich in feeling, scent, shape, a conversation that never happened, a place that doesn't exist, but somehow feels like home. For introverts, these nightly journeys are more than mental residue. They're part of the same deep creativity that shapes their waking thoughts. Sleep is not escape, it's exploration, a space where the self is unburdened and allowed to drift without performance or expectation. So tonight, as your eyes grow heavy, know that your dreams may carry you farther than you expect, into oceans of imagination, into gentle versions of reality, into places your heart already knows. Let go of the day. Let your mind expand in softness. You are safe to wander inward now. Dreams are not just stories. They're secret gardens of the self. Introverts often express more through gesture, tone, and presence. Words are only part of their language. While the world often races to speak, introverts become fluent in everything else. They notice the shift in tone, the pause between thoughts, the weight of a sigh, and in return, they speak with subtleties, a look that lingers, a hand resting quietly nearby, a soft breath that means more than an entire sentence. Presence, for them, is not empty space. It's conversation without noise. Their communication style is rooted in awareness of others, of energy, of atmosphere. A quiet nod might carry understanding. A slow blink may signal thought. Where some speak to fill silence, introverts allow it to speak back. They do not need to command a room to be felt within it. And when they do speak, their words are often supported by a depth of feeling that's already been shared in other ways, through posture, through stillness, through timing. They read the air. They reply to what's beneath the surface. Tonight, as you lie in the hush of your own space, remember, you are always communicating. Through your breath, your softness, your silence, there is language in your stillness. Not everything needs to be said out loud. Sometimes the soul speaks best without words. They tend to wait, to listen. Conversations with introverts unfold like slow rivers. When introverts engage in conversation, they often choose to observe first, to listen deeply, rather than leap forward. Their attention is not passive, it's intentional. They wait not because they have nothing to say, but because they believe in letting thoughts arrive fully before offering their own. Their minds don't rush to interject. Instead, they hold space, allowing words to settle like leaves on water. They aren't trying to win the moment. They are honoring it. And because of this, their responses often carry a rare clarity, shaped not in the haste of reaction, but in the stillness of reflection. In their presence, conversations slow down. They become less about exchange and more about unfolding. Like a river bending around rocks, their dialogue flows patiently, curving around pauses and moments of quiet. This listening is a form of care, of respect. It says, I am here, not just waiting to speak, but waiting to understand. Tonight, let your thoughts flow in that same rhythm. No need to interrupt yourself. Let ideas pass gently, one at a time. You are not in a race to be heard. You are already listening, and that is its own kind of grace. Fast decisions can feel jarring. Introverts prefer to let things settle first. To some, speed feels efficient, decisive, powerful. But to introverts, being rushed is like being pushed underwater. Their minds work best in calm, not pressure. When forced to move too quickly, something essential gets lost. Nuance, feeling, alignment. They prefer to weigh things quietly, to turn choices over in the mind's gentle light. They want to feel not just what is right, but what is true. This process is not delay, it's depth, a slow blooming of clarity. When asked to decide too fast, they may retreat, not out of stubbornness, but preservation. They need stillness to feel sure, time to breathe between the options, space to notice their instincts rising slowly like ink spreading in water. Once they've settled into their decision, it's solid, thoughtful, resilient. But getting there means letting the surface quiet down first. Tonight, if you feel the pressure to choose, to act, to hurry, let it soften. Let the weight of decision rest for now. The answer does not live in the rush. It lives in the calm afterward. You're allowed to move at the speed of understanding. The world can wait for your rhythm. Introversion is not dislike of people. It's a different way of connecting. There's a myth that introverts avoid others, that they seek isolation out of aversion. But this isn't true. They love deeply. They connect meaningfully, but they do so quietly, in smaller circles, in moments that feel real. For them, connection is not about quantity. It's about resonance. They don't chase every conversation. They wait for the ones that matter. In place of small talk, they prefer shared silences. In place of crowds, they seek intimacy. And when they bond with someone, it's with gentle intensity, like roots entwining beneath the surface. Their social energy is not endless, but that doesn't mean it's lacking. It simply flows differently, carefully spent, thoughtfully given, and deeply treasured. They are not antisocial. They are selectively social, and their connections, though fewer, often run deeper than words can trace. So, if you find yourself needing quiet while still loving others, know that there's no contradiction. Your way of caring may not be loud, but it is profound. Let that truth cradle you tonight. You belong to others in your own quiet way, and that is more than enough. Introverts often lead quietly, through consistency and listening. Influence doesn't need volume. Leadership doesn't always look like standing at the front of a room. Sometimes it looks like stillness, like someone who listens more than they speak, who notices what others miss. Introverts often become gentle anchors in the storm, not because they crave control, but because their steadiness brings peace. They lead by example, not command. They guide through integrity, not spectacle. Their influence grows slowly, like roots spreading beneath the surface, quiet, unseen, but strong enough to hold everything together. In moments of tension, they don't escalate, they observe. In conversations, they don't dominate. They draw out the wisdom in others. And when decisions must be made, they've already been turning the problem over in their mind, patiently considering all the angles. This kind of leadership doesn't ask for credit. It doesn't demand applause. It just keeps showing up, quietly, reliably, like the tide, like the moon pulling the ocean's breath. So if you've ever felt too quiet to lead, remember, silence is not absence. Stillness is not passivity. Sometimes the strongest leaders are the ones who speak last because they've listened the most. Tonight, rest in that quiet strength. You don't have to change who you are to guide others. You simply have to keep being steady, thoughtful, and true. Let the calm within you ripple outward like a lantern placed gently in a dark room. Many introverts express best through writing. The page doesn't interrupt. For some, words flow easier when they're not spoken. There's no rush on a page, no pressure to respond quickly, to fill silences, or to compete for space in a conversation. Writing becomes a sanctuary, a place where thoughts can stretch out, unhurried. For introverts, it's often where their inner world finds its clearest voice. They don't just write to be heard, they write to understand, to unravel the quiet tangles of emotion, to make meaning out of stillness. Their notebooks and drafts become soft mirrors, reflecting not just what they think, but who they are becoming. There is magic in this slow unfolding, the way a single sentence can hold a whole moment, the way a quiet thought, carefully written, can travel further than a loud one shouted. Letters to loved ones, journal entries, poems scribbled in the dark. These are not just words but windows. And for the writer, the process itself is enough. They don't always need readers. The act of writing is already a form of connection to themselves, to time, to something deeper. So, if your voice feels strongest in ink or on screen, know that's not lesser, it's just different. Let the pen be your pulse tonight. Let the silence between sentences be part of the music. You are not unseen. You are simply unfolding, one word at a time. Processing time builds strength. Through solitude, introverts grow inwardly sturdy. While the world often rushes forward, some grow stronger by sitting still. Reflection, for introverts, isn't a pause from life. It is life. It's how they understand, recover, and deepen. In the quiet spaces between experiences, they turn events over like stones in their hands, seeing all the facets. This slow processing doesn't mean fragility. Quite the opposite. It creates a deep, flexible strength, one that bends but doesn't break. Reflection becomes a way of building emotional muscle, not all at once, but through gentle repetition. Over time, it becomes a kind of armor made from understanding. When others push forward blindly, introverts often step back, not to escape, but to see clearly. They gather themselves. They examine the emotional terrain. They learn, and then return with more clarity, more stability. This inner sturdiness isn't always visible from the outside, but it's there, a steady hum beneath the surface, the strength to sit with discomfort, the patience to wait for insight, the bravery to face feelings without distraction. So, if you find yourself needing time, needing space, take it. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Let the day settle like silt in a still pond. Let the silence work its quiet magic. Resilience doesn't always roar. Sometimes it rests, calmly, deeply, and well prepared. Introverts may stay calmer under pressure. Their slow pace becomes a gift in chaos. When everything speeds up, some people slow down. In moments of crisis, when decisions must be made, when tempers flare, when the world spins faster, introverts often remain steady. Their calm isn't performance, it's instinct. They process internally, resisting the chaos outside. While others react, they reflect. While others speak, they listen. It may look like hesitation, but it's really a gathering of thoughts, of breath, of clarity. This pause creates room for wiser choices, for gentler responses, for measured steps. In emergencies, This calm becomes a quiet superpower. It helps others breathe. It keeps panic at bay. And because introverts are so used to living within themselves, they can often navigate internal storms while facing external ones. It's not that they feel less. In fact, they often feel more, but they know how to hold that feeling without letting it overflow. They know how to wait for the surge to pass. So if you're someone who's been told you're too quiet or too slow, remember this. In crisis, those very traits become gifts. You're not absent, you're anchoring. You're not unsure, you're intentional. Let that calm carry you tonight. Let your breath be slow and deep. In a world that races, your stillness is a lighthouse. They remember the small details. Their gifts feel personal, meaningful. A gift doesn't have to be expensive or grand to be unforgettable. Sometimes, the most cherished ones are those that whisper, not shout. Introverts often give in this way, quietly, thoughtfully, with deep attention. They remember the story you told weeks ago. They notice the book you lingered over. They sense what would comfort you, not impress you. For them, giving isn't a gesture of obligation. It's an extension of listening. Each present carries the soft echo of a shared moment, a quiet insight, a warm memory. It's less about the object, more about the connection it represents. And they often prefer giving in silence too. No spectacle, just the soft offering of something that says, I see you, I remember. Their gifts may come tucked in handwritten notes or wrapped in layers of care. Sometimes it's not even a thing. It's a playlist, a moment of help, a gentle message at the right time. This kind of giving doesn't ask for recognition. It just asks to land softly. So, if you've ever received something that made you feel deeply known, chances are it came from someone quiet, someone who noticed what others missed. And if you're that giver, rest in the knowledge that your kindness ripples further than you know. A small gesture from you may stay in someone's heart for years. Let that be enough. Let that quiet care continue. New spaces, new people. Introverts often need time, but once settled, they open like soft petals at dusk. There's a gentle rhythm to how introverts enter new places, a kind of slow blooming that doesn't rush for the light. At first, they may linger on the edges, quiet observers, taking in the texture of the room, the sound of voices, the undercurrent of mood. It's not hesitation, but attunement, like a seashell listening before it sings. They aren't closed, just unfolding. Each layer opens at its own pace, warmed not by pressure, but by patience. And when they do open, it's not with fanfare, but with depth. A shy smile, a thoughtful question, a presence that feels grounded and true. Their quiet approach is a gift to those who take time too, those who value trust over speed and comfort over charm. It's in that slow growing ease where real connection takes root. Once settled, they can be playful, passionate, deeply engaged. But first, they need to feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally. A safe space lets their voice rise like evening birdsong, soft, unexpected, and beautiful. So if you find yourself slow to speak, slow to step in, it's okay. You're not behind, you're blooming, and blooms that open slowly often last longer. Tonight, rest in your own timing. You don't need to rush. The world can wait for your petals. Connection matters more than attention. Depth, not duration, defines their relationships. For many introverts, it's not how often they talk to someone that matters. It's how real the conversation feels. A single deep exchange can mean more than a dozen small chats. They don't seek the crowd. They seek the thread, the quiet golden line that connects them to another soul. They may not keep in constant contact, but they remember the moments that mattered. A shared silence, a vulnerable story, a look that said more than words could. These are the ties they treasure, woven softly into their memory. They don't need to be seen by many, just known by a few. And in those few relationships, they give everything, their presence, their loyalty, their truth. When they listen with their whole being. When they speak, it's with care, not calculation. This depth isn't always visible. It moves underground, like roots, hidden but strong, binding them to others in quiet, resilient ways. So, if you're someone who craves deep connection more than constant interaction, that's not distance. That's discernment. You're choosing quality over quantity. You're shaping relationships that feel like shelter. Tonight, think of the people who see you without needing words. Let that comfort be enough. The thread is still there, even in the quiet, especially in the quiet. Introverts may not wear emotions on their face, but they feel them, richly, silently. Some emotions arrive as fireworks, others arrive like fog, gentle, drifting, slow to be seen. For introverts, much of what they feel doesn't surface loudly. It lingers behind the eyes, in the tilt of a head, the length of a pause, the shift of breath. Their faces may seem still, even unreadable, but inside there's a storm of nuance, thoughts, tracing loops, feelings, blooming quietly beneath the surface. They process inwardly. Their expression is not absence, but complexity, a quiet kind of richness that doesn't shout. And while they might not react instantly, that doesn't mean they don't care. It just means they're experiencing first, responding later. They're filtering, absorbing, considering, a slow emotional tide. This subtlety can be misunderstood, but for those who look closer, who notice the soft smile that rises slowly, the eyes that light up for just a moment, there's a reward. The beauty of presence without performance, emotion without spectacle. So, if you're someone whose feelings live beneath the surface, know they are no less powerful. You don't need to prove what you feel. Let your stillness be a language of its own. Let the silence around your emotions hold space, not emptiness. Tonight, rest in your quiet depth. You are not invisible. You are simply resonating softly, like a bell that doesn't need to ring to be full of sound. Tasks that matter to them energize more than praise. They seek purpose in quiet corners. Not every job feeds the soul, but for introverts, it's often the purpose, not the praise, that fuels their energy. They thrive when their work aligns with their values, when their effort means something beyond reward. They don't need a spotlight. They don't need applause. They need meaning, even if it's tucked away in quiet places, a task done well, a small difference made, a sense of inner alignment. These things matter more than recognition. You'll find them crafting, organizing, solving, not to be seen, but because something inside them feels whole when they do. Their work becomes a reflection of their inner world, thoughtful, careful, sincere. They pour themselves into their projects, often behind the scenes, often without noise. And when their work loses meaning, they feel it. The energy drains, the focus fades, because for them, effort without purpose feels hollow. So, if you crave meaning in your work, if you'd rather be quietly fulfilled than publicly praised, know that as a strength, a compass. Let it guide you toward what matters, not what glitters. Tonight, Think of the work that has brought you peace, not success, but satisfaction. That too is achievement. That too is worth resting in. Their humor may be dry, soft, or surprising, a quiet wit like moonlight behind clouds. Introverts often carry a humor that isn't loud. It slips in like a breeze, like a whispered comment that lingers in the air and makes you smile long after. Their wit is patient, observational, the kind that watches quietly and then delivers a line that cuts through tension with grace. They might not be the center of the room, but when they do speak, their humor lands with precision. It's not always about getting a laugh. Sometimes it's about connection, a shared glance, a mutual understanding, a story told with a wink. Their jokes may be dry, their timing subtle, but there's warmth behind it, a kindness. Their humor doesn't demand, it offers, and those who take the time to notice it often feel chosen, included in something special. This gentle humor is often missed by the fast and loud, but for those who slow down, who listen, it's a gift, the kind of laughter that softens the heart without shaking the walls. So if your humor isn't always recognized in the moment, don't worry. It has staying power. It has grace. Let it remain soft, like moonlight peeking through cloud cover. Not everything that's beautiful needs to shine loudly. Tonight, let yourself smile at your own quiet cleverness. You don't need to perform. You already glow. Many introverts feel restored outdoors. Forests, lakes, stars, spaces without noise, only presence. There's something about untouched spaces that gently realigns the soul. For introverts, nature feels like a language without interruption, a place where the world softens and the inner tide begins to settle. The hush of trees, the slow dance of leaves, the patient rhythm of waves. These are companions that ask for nothing, yet give everything. A quiet walk beneath old pines, a rock warmed by the sun, the cool hush of dusk settling over a field. These moments aren't dramatic, but they are deeply restoring. In these spaces, the noise of performing, pleasing, explaining, all fades, and what's left is presence, breath, being. Introverts often feel attuned to these subtle worlds. They don't need words to connect with them. The sky can be enough, the hush between bird calls, the shimmer of stars as they blink into night. Each of these is a kind of welcome, silent, sacred, complete. And so, when the world feels too loud, too demanding, too fast, nature waits, not as escape, but as return, a return to the rhythm that fits, the pace that soothes, the quiet that doesn't judge. Tonight, let your breath be a breeze across still water. Let your thoughts rustle like wind through grass. Let your body rest as if under a starlit sky. The earth is always here, holding you like a deep exhale. Some introverts process the world in pictures. Scenes play out behind the eyes. Even when silent, the mind of a visual thinker is alive with color and motion. Images bloom like soft, focused dreams, places remembered, imagined, or newly invented. Conversations replay as scenes, memories return like films, futures are previewed in quiet montages of possibility. For introverts with strong visual minds, thought doesn't always come in words. It arrives as setting, as movement, as light. A childhood home lit with morning sun, a metaphor shaped like a bridge, emotions swirling like a changing sky. These pictures aren't distractions. They are part of how the world is understood. This kind of inner cinema can be a gift. It makes learning deeper, empathy richer, creativity more vivid, but it can also mean the outside world feels muted in comparison. like living with an ocean behind the eyes. They may pause longer before speaking, not because they don't know what to say, but because they're watching the idea unfold like a scene. They are translating image to language, frame by frame. So if your thoughts come as visions, more than sentences, that's not confusion. That's fluency in another language, a visual language, a quiet one. Tonight, let your inner world play its reels. Let your thoughts drift in shapes and colors. You do not need to explain what you see. Just know that this dreaming is part of who you are, and it is beautiful. Even at rest, their brains are busy. Patterns emerge, reflections deepen, thoughts meander. Stillness on the outside doesn't mean stillness within. For many introverts, the quiet is when the symphony begins. Thoughts wander through memory, linger in imagination, drift across meaning. The mind doesn't stop, it reorients. Away from stimulus, toward essence. Even in moments of calm, brain scans show heightened activity in regions tied to introspection, empathy, and learning. It's not anxiety, it's richness. A deep-tide thinking that continues even when nothing is asked. When the body is still, the mind continues to unfold. Ideas deepen without effort, memories reconnect. New insights surface like constellations forming in the dark. This isn't overthinking, it's inner exploration, the kind that doesn't need to be spoken aloud to be real. It's why solitude can feel nourishing, not because the mind goes quiet, but because it's finally allowed to wander without interruption. So if you find yourself resting, but your mind is full of soft wanderings, that's not restlessness, that's richness. You are processing, integrating, dreaming, even while awake. Tonight, let those gentle meanderings continue. There's nothing to solve, no need to interrupt. Let your brain do what it does best, find quiet connections, trace emotional contours, drift through its private skies. Your thoughts are not noise, they are stars forming quietly in the dark. Repetition of thought isn't always anxiety. It's often rehearsal, understanding, emotional sorting. The mind returns to the same thought again and again, not to obsess, but to refine, to revisit, to understand more deeply. For many introverts, this is how they process life, like rereading a favorite book to catch what was missed the first time. A conversation replays, not out of regret, but curiosity. An idea loops, not because it's intrusive, but because it wants to be shaped. This gentle repetition is a kind of sculpting, each pass revealing something softer, truer, more complete. To others, it may seem like being stuck, but for the introvert, it's forward movement in disguise, a spiral inward, a soft churn of thought that eventually settles into clarity. Sometimes these loops are emotional, the heart needing to circle an experience before releasing it. Sometimes they're logistical, the mind planning, predicting, preparing. Either way, they're not a flaw, they're a form of inner dialogue. So if your thoughts return to familiar places, let them. There is wisdom in return. There is healing in repetition. Not everything needs to be moved past quickly. Tonight, let your thoughts loop gently. Let them pass again, like waves brushing the same shore. You are not trapped. You are tuning slowly, tenderly, wisely. Introverts weigh options with care. They often make fewer mistakes, not through speed, but slowness. To decide is to commit, and introverts often feel the weight of that commitment. They pause, they reflect, they imagine the outcomes, feel them, live them in their minds before ever acting. This caution isn't fear, it's respect. Respect for consequence, for impact, for inner alignment. They don't choose lightly because they know their choices echo. While others may rush toward answers, introverts circle them like moonlight around water, quietly, patiently, until clarity appears. It's not indecision, it's intentionality. And with it comes fewer regrets, stronger foundations, steadier paths. They may not always explain their process. It happens inside, quietly running scenarios, measuring energy, sensing truth. When they finally move, it's often with quiet certainty. This slowness is a strength in a world that often demands urgency. It allows depth. It allows integrity. It allows them to choose not what's expected, but what's right. So, if you move slowly toward decisions, trust your rhythm. You are not late. You are listening. Tonight, let go of pressure to decide anything at all. Let your thoughts weigh nothing for now. Drift instead. The answers will come, not in haste, but in the hush that follows careful attention. Mistakes don't always need pointing out. Introverts notice, reflect, and adjust, often quietly. In the soft corners of solitude, self-awareness grows like moss. Slowly, quietly, but completely. Introverts often don't need a mirror held up to their missteps. They are already holding one. Their internal world is a space of constant review, not out of guilt or worry, but out of care. When something goes wrong, a word misspoken, a moment mishandled, it echoes gently inside, not to punish, but to understand. They play it back, not for drama, but for clarity. How did it land? What could have been? Said more gently, more clearly, more truly. This isn't perfectionism. It's presence. It's the wish to move through the world with intention. You may never see the correction. There's no announcement, no performance of growth, just small adjustments, like steering a quiet boat through fog. They might change a tone next time, take a breath before answering, choose a different path without telling anyone why. But inside, there's a steady recalibration, a quiet turning toward better. So if you feel your own missteps linger longer than they should, trust that this too is a strength. You are not stuck in regret. You are simply polishing the mirror of your selfhood. Tonight, release the need to be flawless. You are allowed to rest, even mid-adjustment. The world is not expecting perfection from you, only sincerity. And you already hold that in silence, like a soft lantern in the dark. Their social world may be small, but deeply rooted. Loyalty grows in stillness. For some, connection is a web, wide, sparkling, full of motion. For others, it is a grove, quiet, shaded, deeply rooted in earth and time. Introverts often prefer the grove, a few close bonds, a handful of souls who know the unspoken languages. These relationships don't form quickly. They grow over time, like tree rings. Trust is not declared, it is felt, and once it takes hold, it rarely lets go. Introverts may not call every day or fill every room with presence, but when they're needed, they arrive fully, quietly, completely. Their loyalty isn't loud, it's lasting. They remember birthdays, even if they don't always reach out. They think of your sorrows when the world forgets. They carry your words with them, not just for a day, but for years. This loyalty is not a contract. It's a current. It flows beneath the surface, steady and sure. So, if your circle is small, don't mistake it for lack. A single strong root can hold up an entire tree. Tonight, think of those who know you gently, the ones who let you be quiet and love you still. Let your breath deepen in the space of those bonds. You are not alone in your stillness. You are woven into something lasting even now. Feelings unfold slowly. They may take time before responding, not to avoid, but to understand. Emotions are not always loud. Sometimes they move like underwater currents, strong, invisible, hard to name. For introverts, these inner tides take time to rise, to move, to settle. It's not that they don't feel deeply. It's that they feel so deeply, words take time to catch up. After a conversation, a conflict, even a joy, they may pause. They retreat, not to escape, but to listen, inside, to sift through the layers, what was felt, what stayed hidden, what still lingers. They may seem distant, but they are simply sorting, honoring what moved within, giving their hearts space to speak in their own language. And when they do respond, it often comes not as reaction, but as reflection, a gentle offering, a truth that has been held, turned over, and softened. If you are this way, slow to speak in moments of feeling, know that you are not withholding. You are waiting for alignment. You are waiting for honesty. Tonight, let your emotions take their time. There is no rush to name them, no demand to perform them. They will bloom in their own rhythm, like night flowers under a quiet sky. You are allowed to feel slowly. You are allowed to rest in the pause. That too is part of understanding. Introverts often listen fully, not just to words, but to tone, space, breath. There is a kind of listening that feels like shelter. That's what introverts often offer, not just ears, but presence. They listen with their whole attention. They hear not only what is said, but what is nearly said. The pauses, the hesitations, the tremble between sentences. They aren't waiting to speak. They aren't preparing a reply. They are simply there, a stillness that invites unfolding. Because they spend so much time in their own inner landscapes, they recognize the shapes of other people's feelings. They sense when someone is drifting or circling something unspeakable. Their quiet doesn't mean they don't care. It means they are holding space, honoring what's being shared without rushing to fill it. When they finally do speak, it's often a whisper that lands like an anchor, gentle but grounding. To be heard this way is rare, and to listen this way is a gift. If you are one who listens deeply, even in silence, know that you are offering something sacred. You are a place where others can rest their truths. Tonight, turn that listening inward. Hear the rhythm of your own breath, the thoughts beneath your thoughts. Let them unfold into the quiet you hold for others. You too deserve to be heard, even by yourself. Quick reactions can feel disorienting. They shine more in thoughtful exchanges. The spotlight can feel like a sun too close, sudden, glaring, overwhelming. For many introverts, being asked to respond instantly is like being pulled out of a dream mid-thought, not because they don't know what to say, but because their thoughts bloom in quieter conditions. They shine not in speed, but in depth, not in flash, but in glow. Give them a moment, and they will offer clarity. Give them space, and they will offer insight, but rush them, and their mind retreats into fog. This isn't weakness, it's wiring. Their processing is rich but layered, like deep water that moves slowly. They are at their best in conversations that allow breathing room, where ideas can simmer, not boil. If you've ever stumbled when put on the spot, or felt your mind go quiet under pressure, know this: your brilliance isn't missing. It's simply not built for performance. It's built for presence. Tonight, let go of urgency. No one is waiting for an answer. Let your thoughts arrive in their own time, like stars revealing themselves after sunset. You don't have to be quick to be wise. You don't have to be loud to be seen. You are enough just as you are, unfolding gently in the quiet. They often consider many possible paths, not from fear, but from preparedness. In the quiet spaces where thoughts ripple without interruption, introverts often drift toward possibility, not just what is, but what might be. Their minds sketch futures like wind tracing waves, softly, intuitively, and in many directions at once. It's not about anxiety, it's about care, about being ready. They play out conversations before they happen, test choices silently like stones in the palm. What if they say this? What if I try that? What will ripple out from this small action or that pause? This inner rehearsal isn't rigid planning. It's a gentle mapping of the terrain, a way to honor consequences before they unfold. Often, it helps them move through the world more calmly. They've been there already. In thought, they've walked the what-ifs in quiet hours and found a steady footing. This anticipation is not paranoia. It is presence extended forward. If you do this, if your mind sometimes spins scenarios like thread, know that you are not overthinking. You are weaving safety into the future. Tonight, let the need to foresee soften. You've done enough imagining. Let the future unfold without your steering for now. The map can rest. The unknown will wait. Let your mind return to the stillness of this moment, where nothing needs deciding, only drifting, only breath, a cup of tea, a quiet glance. The ordinary becomes sacred in the introverted mind. Not every beauty needs to be bold. Some truths arrive in small gestures. Steam rising from porcelain, the flicker of light on a floorboard, the hush that comes just before a word. Introverts often feel these moments more deeply, not because they try to, but because their gaze lingers. They do not rush through the in-between. They dwell there. While the world chases spectacle, they return to the texture of now, the familiar creak of a chair, the way shadows stretch at dusk, the comfort of soft fabric. These are not distractions. They are our anchors. Meaning doesn't always need to be sought. Sometimes it appears in the way a leaf trembles or how a cat breathes beside you. This reverence for the ordinary is not naivety, it's wisdom. It's seeing that life is not made of grand gestures, but of thousands of quiet ones. If you too find joy in overlooked corners, in the way a sentence lands or how rain sounds against glass, know that this is not small. It is sacred. Tonight, let the mundane cradle you. A blanket, a soft light, a breath you didn't notice until now. Let these tiny altars remind you are already home. Too much exposure to curated lives can feel artificial. They long for realness, even if it's quiet. In a world of endless sharing, introverts often find themselves retreating. The scroll, the noise, the constant self-disclosure. It doesn't always feel like connection. Sometimes it feels like static. Their inner world is rich, but not performative. And social media, with its fast images and carefully constructed lives, can feel like being shouted at in a crowd. Everyone is speaking, but few are truly being heard. Introverts long for substance, not likes, not updates, but real presence, a voice note, a long message, a moment of silence together. They might disappear for days from digital spaces, not from disinterest, but from self-preservation. They return when they have something to offer, not just something to prove. And when they do show up, it's usually in quiet ways, a comment that holds care, a shared post that feels true, a moment of stillness amid the blur. If you feel tired after too much screen time, if the curated becomes too much, you're not alone. Your desire for realness is valid. Tonight, unplug not just your device, but your mind. Let the comparison fade. Let the performance rest. You are enough, even unseen, especially unseen. For introverts, silence isn't awkward, it's shelter. In a world that often fears silence, fills it with noise, with urgency, with chatter, introverts find refuge there, not emptiness, but calm, not absence, but presence. Silence is where their thoughts stretch their legs, where emotions settle into clarity, where connection deepens without words. They don't rush to fill the air. They know that some of the best things, a shared gaze, a breath held together, the rhythm of footsteps side by side, live beyond speech. To them, silence isn't a void to escape, but a space to enter, a pause that holds meaning. In silence, they gather themselves. They return. If you've ever been told you're too quiet or felt pressure to speak when there was nothing to say, know this: your quiet is not a flaw. It is a form of listening, a shape of care. Tonight, let silence wrap around you like a soft blanket. There's no need to explain, no need to fill. Let your breath be the only sound. Let your stillness be enough. You are safe here, in the hush between moments. Solitude heals, but too much can hurt. Even quiet minds need connection. There's a myth that introverts never get lonely, that they prefer isolation always. But solitude, even when chosen, can sometimes stretch too far. What begins as peace can tilt into ache. Days without voices, moments without touch, a growing longing not for noise, but for nearness. Introverts may not crave crowds, but they crave resonance. Someone who sees their quiet and meets it. They need presence, not performance, intimacy, not intensity. They may go long without reaching out, not out of disinterest, but because reaching takes energy. And sometimes they forget they're allowed to need. Loneliness, when it arrives, often does so quietly, a weight in the chest, a question unspoken, a softness unmet. If you've ever felt this, the strange contradiction of loving solitude and yet longing for someone in it, you're not alone. Tonight, remember, your quiet doesn't make you unlovable. Your solitude doesn't make you unreachable. Reach out, even if gently. Whisper, even if faintly. Someone is listening, and until then, rest in the warmth of knowing you are not the only quiet heart awake under these stars. Introverts rarely boast. Their worth speaks softly, through action and steadiness. They walk quietly through loud spaces, letting presence do the work of performance. In a world that often values volume over depth, they choose a different frequency, subtle, steady, true. Their accomplishments aren't banners waved in wind. They're stones placed with care, solid, enduring, felt rather than flaunted. They don't speak just to be heard. They speak when it matters. Recognition, for them, is not the goal. Resonance is. They'd rather one person feel deeply moved than 1,000 merely glance, and often their impact lingers longer because of that restraint. They share but not to shine. They share to connect, to offer, to nourish. This isn't humility from insecurity. It's dignity without demand. They may avoid the spotlight, not because they doubt themselves, but because they know light can distort. They prefer clarity over glare. If you've ever felt unseen because you didn't shout, remember, still water reflects best. The value you bring doesn't diminish because it isn't declared. It deepens. Tonight, let yourself rest in quiet worth. You don't need to explain, prove, or amplify. Your calm speaks volumes. in tone, in care, in consistency. Let that be enough. They notice small shifts in expression, in feeling, in tone. Subtlety is their fluency. Where others hear words, introverts often hear what's beneath them, a pause that lingers too long, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, a change in posture, in breath, in presence. Their minds are tuned to the in-between, the quiet data that floats beneath conversation. This isn't overanalysis. It's a kind of listening the world often forgets how to do. They read atmospheres like pages. They feel undercurrents in a room before anyone else names them. Their empathy is precise, not dramatic. It unfolds slowly, attentively, making space for others without interruption. This attunement can be a gift, but also a weight. To feel so much, so subtly, can be exhausting in loud or careless places. That's why they seek spaces where nuance is honored, where they don't have to explain why something feels off, because someone else feels it too. If you've ever been told you're too sensitive, or if you've noticed things others didn't, take heart. This is your fluency. This is your strength. Tonight, rest your senses. You don't have to decipher or decode anything now. The air is calm. The room is yours. Let subtlety settle into stillness. Let nuance fade into silence. You've noticed enough for today. Abrupt changes jar their nervous system. They appreciate softness between phases. To shift gears gently is to respect rhythm. Introverts thrive on continuity, the gentle slope from one state into another, like the fading of twilight into night. When things shift suddenly, a conversation, a mood, a task, it can feel like being pushed mid-step. The body tenses, the mind stumbles. It's not resistance, it's physiology. They need time to release what was before embracing what's next, like a soft breath between thoughts, like dipping toes into water before diving in. They savor transitions, a moment of silence before a new topic, a pause before the next song, a breath before the next decision. In a world that moves quickly, they're not slow, they're deliberate. If you too find sudden switches jarring, if you crave buffers, bridges, gentle on-ramps, know that this isn't weakness. It's wisdom in pacing. Tonight, you're in no hurry. There are no abrupt turns here, no alarms, just a slow drift from day into night, from thought into dream. Let this quiet be your bridge. Let it carry you gently from one world to the next. Stillness allows patterns to form. Their hunches are often built on quiet attention. Intuition isn't magic. It's deep noticing. It's what happens when a mind watches the world without demanding from it, just absorbing, observing, allowing. Introverts often feel things before they name them, a sense of yes or no, a direction that feels more true than obvious. This doesn't arise from guesswork. It's the fruit of quiet input. They listen more than they speak. They notice more than they respond. They store impressions like dew on leaves, small, clear, fleeting, and slowly patterns emerge, not logical steps, but threads of coherence. They may not know how they know, but they do. This sense can guide them, gently, softly, like a current just beneath the surface. If you've ever doubted your gut because it wasn't loud or couldn't be explained, trust that quiet is not confusion. Your sense of things is shaped by stillness. Tonight, let your mind be still enough to hear your own knowing. Beneath thought, beneath language, something in you understands. Let that guide you into rest, and not with answers, but with trust. They're drawn to layered stories, complex characters, and ideas that linger. For introverts, shallow doesn't satisfy. They crave what unfolds, what resonates, what leaves echoes. A film that reveals more on second viewing. A book that lives in the mind long after it's closed. A song whose lyrics change as you do. They don't skim, they sink. Surface thrills are fleeting, but depth stays. It nests in thought. It stirs feeling. It invites return. They value nuance, contradiction, growth. Stories that don't rush to resolution, not because they're serious, but because they're curious. They want to understand, not just consume, to feel, not just watch. They're patient with ambiguity, comfortable in complexity. If you find yourself rereading a favorite line, rewatching a quiet film, revisiting an idea until it opens further, this is not overthinking, it's communion. Tonight, let your mind wander through depth. Let it follow a thread without pressure to arrive. In this quiet, there is space for rich thought, for meaning that lingers. You don't need to finish anything now. You only need to feel it unfold. Being alone is often chosen. It's how they find themselves again. Solitude, for introverts, is not absence. It's return, a quiet unfolding of thought and breath away from the noise that scatters attention. In stillness, they gather the parts of themselves left behind in conversation, in noise, in crowds. To be alone is not to be incomplete. It's to be whole without needing to perform. It's a soft sigh of the self, no masks, no roles. They sit with silence, not as punishment, but as comfort. They walk slowly, read slowly, think slowly, not because they lag, but because they savor. In their own company, things settle, thoughts stretch, emotions soften, meaning returns. Loneliness comes from disconnection, but solitude is a form of connection to self, to nature, to deeper layers of being. They may love others fiercely. They may engage, laugh, share, explore, but they also need retreat. That retreat isn't withdrawal. It's nourishment, a gathering of inner light. Tonight, if you are alone, know that you are not lacking. You are not empty. You are simply with yourself, and that is enough. Let the quiet be your companion. Let it wrap around you like dusk. This moment is not hollow. It's whole. They watch, listen, and then step in. Participation grows from understanding. In a fast-talking world, introverts pause. They scan the room, the conversation, the energy, not out of hesitation, but respect. They wait not because they're unsure, but because they want to be sure. Their thoughts trail behind their eyes, gathering tone, rhythm, context. When they finally speak, it's often precise, considered, and deeply rooted. They don't interrupt. They don't rush. They calibrate. They attune. In that pause, insight builds. In that silence, empathy grows. They understand that not everything requires a response, and that not every opening is meant for speaking. They may seem distant, but they're absorbing. They may seem quiet, but their mind is weaving. If you've ever needed time before stepping forward, if you've ever lingered on the edge to learn the shape of things, that's not shyness, that's wisdom. You don't miss moments by waiting, you deepen them. Tonight, let yourself be the observer. Let the world unfold around you without needing to grasp or enter it. There is grace in pausing. There is power in patience. Let that quiet understanding be enough. Introverts often seek peace. They'd rather find common ground than win. Conflict doesn't invigorate them, it drains them. The raised voices, the quick retorts, the tension, it scratches at their nervous system like static. They don't fear disagreement, but they crave gentler ground to hold it. They'd rather write a message than raise a voice. They'd rather ask questions than make accusations. They look for shared truths, not sharp edges. They want everyone to walk away whole, not right. This isn't passivity, it's preservation, a quiet commitment to harmony, not avoidance. They'll speak up when it matters, but they'll do so like a tide, not a storm. Their strength is in de-escalation, in listening, in slowing the fire. If you've ever left a heated moment to breathe, or chosen silence over shouting, trust that it was not weakness. It was care for others, for yourself, for the aftermath. Tonight, let that softness hold you. Let the need to be right dissolve. Here, in this space, there's no argument to win, only stillness, only peace. You have nothing to defend, just exhale. Their nervous system soothes in gentle environments. No glare, no clang, just glow. Harsh lights feel like noise to the eyes. Clashing sounds feel like sharp edges in the air. Introverts find peace in softness. Dim corners, warm lamps, hushed tones, the glow of a candle, the murmur of a quiet room, the texture of soft blankets, of worn books, of silence. These spaces don't just feel nicer, they allow the mind to breathe. In gentle places, their thoughts unfurl, their body unclenches, their senses stop bracing. Design for them is not about decor, it's about safety. They're drawn to environments that whisper, that feel like exhale, that ask nothing of them. If you've ever turned off an overhead light and sighed in relief, if you've ever craved a quiet corner at a loud event, you are not being sensitive, you are being sane. Tonight, let the lighting be soft. Let the space hold you like dusk. No sharpness, no spotlight, just glow, just quiet, just calm. This is your nervous system saying thank you. They might not shout no, but they'll say it with clarity and calm. Introverts protect their peace like a slow tide protects a hidden cove, not with barricades, but with quiet insistence. They'll nod gently, then decline, smile softly, then step back. Their refusal doesn't need volume. It carries weight in its stillness, because when they say no, they've already thought it through. They've measured the cost. They've honored the need. Their boundaries aren't walls. They're gentle lines drawn in kindness. To themselves, to others. They're not quick to react, but they are steady in resolve. Their calm may be mistaken for compliance until you meet their limit. Then you'll see it doesn't move. If you've ever felt guilty for saying no or pressured to bend until you disappear, let this be a reminder. Quiet boundaries are still boundaries. You don't need to justify your space. You don't need to apologize for protecting it. Tonight, you owe nothing. You may close the door, power down the world, and return to yourself. Let this stillness be your sanctuary. Let your no be enough, gentle, honest, and whole. Many introverts hold memories in detail, a scent, a phrase, a quiet morning, still vivid. Where others see a blur, introverts remember in layers, the texture of the air that day, the way the light hit the windowsill, the way someone paused before speaking. These aren't just memories, they're preserved feelings, still alive, still breathing. Introverts carry an inner archive, not grand timelines or milestones, but small, sacred fragments. The sound of rain on an unfamiliar roof, the moment a hand brushed theirs, the taste of silence between pages in a book. Because they reflect deeply, moments tend to root more firmly. They're not rushed, they're not overwritten. Their memory is not just recall, it's re-experience. They can walk back into a moment and feel its weight again. This isn't always gentle. Some memories sting as sharply as the day they happened, but others, soft ones, bloom again and again, bringing calm just when it's needed. If you've ever remembered a moment so vividly it slowed your breath, know that this is not overthinking. It's depth. It's your mind honoring what mattered. Tonight, as you lie still, let the gentle memories rise, not the noisy ones, the quiet ones. A look, a breeze, a voice. They are not gone. They live inside you, tucked safely beneath the noise. Let them comfort you now, soft as light through a curtain, steady as a whispered name. After gathering, they need solitude to feel whole again. It's not withdrawal, it's repair. Social time, while meaningful, drains them like a tide pulling gently at the shore. Even if they laughed, connected, felt joy, the cost is real. It's not the people, it's the current of interaction, the undercurrent of interpreting, responding, absorbing. Introverts don't recharge mid-conversation. They restore in the spaces between, in the pause, in the quiet. After a day filled with voices, they crave stillness like air. It's not because they dislike company. It's because their inner world needs attention again, rebalancing. They may go silent, disappear for a while, seem distant, but they're not vanishing. They're returning back to books, to music, to walks, to their own rhythm. In solitude, the fog lifts, the energy comes back, the self expands again after being compressed by too much external input. If you've ever come home from a good day and still needed hours to feel like yourself again, that's not antisocial, that's self-care. Tonight, you don't need to explain your silence. You don't need to reply or perform or engage. You've given enough. Now receive. Let the quiet reweave you. Let the stillness refill your breath. Let solitude, soft and slow, bring you back to center. It builds slowly, but once given, it's steady as stone. Introverts don't rush intimacy. They don't hand over their inner world like a souvenir. Instead, they open in layers, not to test you, but to pace the depth. Trust for them is not about words. It's about presence, consistency, the quiet between moments. They notice everything, how you speak, how you pause, how you listen. They sense what's said and unsaid, and over time, slowly, the walls soften. You'll know when you're inside, not because they declare it, but because they stay. Because they share something small, specific, real. Their loyalty, once earned, is rooted, not flashy, not loud, but unwavering. Introverts don't collect people. They keep a few held close. If you've ever felt unsure because someone took time to warm, don't rush the bloom. They're not avoiding. They're watching the weather. They're waiting for safety. Tonight, if someone has trusted you, cherish it. That trust was not light. And if you're still learning to trust, it's okay. You are allowed to unfold slowly. Let the pace be kind. Let the time be enough. Like stone shaped by water, trust doesn't need speed, just steadiness, just truth. They rarely dominate a room, but their calm anchors those who listen. While others fill the air, introverts settle into the spaces between. They're not the loudest voice, but often the most grounding, a stillness in the storm, a pause in the chaos. Their presence doesn't command, it soothes, it balances. They don't rush to speak, they don't compete for volume. Instead, they hold space, they steady the room. People may lean toward them without knowing why, drawn to their quiet gravity. They're the ones who sit through tension without flinching, the ones who offer the sentence that settles things, not stirs them. Their calm isn't apathy, it's depth. They've felt things fully, thought things through, and so they move with care. If you've ever felt overlooked, but quietly essential, know that your presence carries weight. Calm is not lack of energy. It is refined energy. It is what steadies the group when everything else tilts. Tonight, honor that role. You don't have to lead loudly to be the center of peace. You are allowed to be soft and strong at once. Let your breath slow. Let your calm rise. You are the still point in the turning world. They prefer unfolding gently, not being placed under bright, sudden attention. Introverts are not shy of depth. They're shy of glare. They don't mind being seen. They mind being exposed. They want to reveal, not be revealed. To peel back stories in their own time, not be yanked open. Like a book you read slowly, they hold meaning in chapters. Too much light too fast feels invasive, not just awkward, overwhelming. They flourish in soft curiosity, not pointed questioning. In trust, they bloom. In pressure, they shrink. This isn't secrecy. It's pacing. They want to be known, just not all at once. If you've ever wished someone would ease into you, not scan you like a resume, that's valid. That's real. Tonight, no spotlights, no performance, no sudden exposure. You're allowed to be layered, allowed to unfold like dusk. Let the light be soft. Let the gaze be kind. You are not hiding. You are honoring your rhythm. Unfurl only as much as feels safe. That is more than enough. Introverts can be animated, even loud, when deeply comfortable, but it's rare air. Stillness is their default, not their only state. Beneath that quiet surface is laughter, energy, spark, but it only rises in trusted spaces, spaces where they don't feel watched, judged, or required to shrink. When introverts feel deeply safe, something shifts. The walls soften, the voice lifts, humor flows like light through old trees. They might talk fast, laugh loud, share stories with unexpected boldness, not because they've changed, but because the armor isn't needed. It surprises some, this sudden aliveness, as if introverts had been hiding, but they weren't hiding. They were discerning. Being on for everyone is exhausting. Being fully themselves with one or two, liberating. If you've ever seen someone bloom unexpectedly, know that it wasn't random. You were a safe garden. And if you're still waiting for your own energy to emerge, that's okay too. Not all places are meant for that kind of blooming. Tonight, there's no performance needed, no spotlight. You are already safe here, and safety is the soil where joy grows loud. Let yourself breathe into that comfort. Let the warmth rise. You don't have to be quiet forever. Just quiet enough to feel whole. When the air is right, your voice will come, not from effort, but from ease. Daily tea, journals, a walk. Repetition becomes rhythm. For introverts, rituals are more than routine. They are grounding spells, gentle anchors in a world that often feels too fast, too loud, too much. A cup brewed the same way each morning, the quiet flick of a pen against a page, the same path beneath their feet at dusk. These aren't just habits, they're ways of breathing. Rituals offer predictability where the world wobbles. They restore control without noise. They whisper, "You're safe," even when everything else is uncertain. In repetition, there is peace, not boredom, but familiarity. The mind settles into rhythm. The nervous system exhales. These moments don't have to be big. They just have to be theirs. A candlelit each night, a favorite mug, the same playlist while folding laundry. Each one says, "Here, I return to myself." If you've ever craved simplicity, if you felt joy in doing the same soft thing over and over, that's not being stuck. That's being soothed. Tonight, find your ritual. Let the night itself be one. Lying down, letting go, listening. There's beauty in doing things slowly and again. Repetition doesn't dull the soul, it polishes it. Let the rhythm hold you now, like waves finding shore. Raised voices, tension, these echo long after. Peace feels like home. For introverts, conflict is rarely just about the moment. It's about the emotional debris it leaves behind, the echoes in the body, the dissonance in the air. Even small disagreements can feel enormous, lingering long after others have moved on. They don't just hear the word, they feel the tone, the edge, the pause before the storm. It's not fear, it's depth. Their inner world reacts to disturbance the way still water does to a pebble. Every ripple matters. Raised voices may not be aimed at them, but they still flinch inside. They don't thrive on debate. They don't sharpen themselves on conflict. They seek common ground, harmony, resolution, not because they're passive, but because they're attuned. Peace is not avoidance, it's preservation. If you've ever needed time to recover from tension, not just to understand, but to rebalance, that's valid, that's real. Tonight, there is no argument, no defense, no need to brace, just quiet air. Let it fill your lungs, let it mend the ripples. You are allowed to need peace. Let calm return to your chest like breath after crying. Let stillness spread across your skin like rain after heat. This is your home frequency. You are safe now. Endings linger. They move slowly through thresholds. For introverts, parting isn't just about the moment. It's about the emotional steps it takes to release, to transition, to truly let go. They may seem hesitant at the door, slow to pack, quiet in farewell. It's not awkwardness, it's honoring. Endings are processed deeply. Even brief encounters leave residue. Even goodbyes after joy carry weight. They need time to close the inner tab, to quiet the reverberation. Rushing away feels like tearing a thread still attached. And so, they linger. One more look, one more pause, one more breath. They're not being dramatic, they're integrating. If they don't hug or speak much, it doesn't mean it didn't matter. They just don't always show what they feel, but they feel. Oh, how they feel. If you've ever delayed leaving because the moment still held you, you're not alone. Tonight, there is no rush, no deadline. Let the day end slowly. Let the goodbye come in soft waves. You don't have to snap shut. You can fade gently. Some doors don't close. They drift. Let that be enough. Let transition be a kindness. You are allowed to take your time. Introverts often find refuge in books. Reading is conversation without performance. In the pages of a novel, they don't have to explain themselves, don't have to speak, react, or impress. They can disappear, not from the world, but into one carefully chosen. Characters become companions. Narratives offer structure. Language becomes balm. In books, they are not alone. They are surrounded by imagined voices that don't demand anything back. The pace is theirs. The interpretation is private. No interruptions, no small talk, just depth. Stories let them travel while staying still, and more than escape, books offer resonance, a mirror of their quiet, their depth, their long inner monologue. Introverts don't just read, they enter. They feel alongside the story. They are changed by a line, held by a sentence, restored by a paragraph. If you've ever clung to a fictional world because the real one felt too sharp, know that it was more than entertainment. It was sanctuary. Tonight, let story wrap around you like a familiar blanket. Even without pages, there is narrative in your breath. You are allowed to be silent and still and full of whole worlds. Let the night unfold like a novel read slowly, one breath, one word at a time. Constant collaboration can sap focus. They excel alone or with one thoughtful partner. Group dynamics swirl with noise, shared agendas, shifting energies, unscheduled chatter. For many introverts, that whirlwind gradually depletes their clarity, not because they dislike others, but because their attention runs deep. They dive fully into thought, and every new voice, every overlapping idea creates small ripples across that stillness. In group settings, their minds often step back, not out of shyness, but preservation. They listen before leaping, they wait before weighing in, and when they do contribute, it's with intention, a thought well shaped by quiet consideration. One-on-one or working alone, they shine. In still rooms, their focus stretches like a thread pulled taut, precise and unbroken. Their ideas gather in layers, not noise. They don't just collaborate, they attune. With the right partner, in the right silence, their work becomes music. So if you know someone like this, or if you are someone like this, honor the spaces that help you think. You don't need to match every brainstorm. You don't need to speak over the tide. There's power in waiting, in building things slowly, in choosing solitude not as escape, but as soil. Let that be a kind of rest tonight. You are not slow, you are deliberate, not distant, just quietly aligned with the kind of work that grows best in peace. They often navigate from values, not trends. Their direction feels self-grown. Not all movement needs a map. Some people carry direction like a quiet current inside them, not drawn by approval, nor driven by trend, but pulled gently by something deeper. Introverts often move like this. Their choices ripple from an inner stillness, not a flashing sign. While others might chase the latest path, they pause, they listen, they trace decisions through the root systems of values that have taken years to form. This compass is rarely loud. It doesn't shout, doesn't boast. It doesn't always explain itself, but it knows where north is, even if no one else can see it. In a loud world, that kind of navigation can look like hesitation, but it's not. It's alignment. It's a steady refusal to be swept away by surface winds. When introverts make decisions, it often feels like planting, not leaping. Like a tree, they may bend in storms, but their roots run deep. If that sounds familiar, breathe easy. You don't need to prove your direction. You don't need to display your compass to the world. It's enough to feel it humming softly beneath your ribs. Tonight, let that quiet certainty hold you. Let it remind you that even stillness can move forward, even silence can choose a path. Imagination requires room. Silence is the canvas. In quiet corners and pauses between moments, something gentle begins to grow. A flicker, a scene, a soft unfolding that isn't here, yet somehow feels more real than the noise around it. Daydreaming isn't distraction for introverts. It's breathing room for their inner world, a space where ideas stretch, where questions bloom, where wonder can walk unbothered. They don't always need escape. They need expansion, rooms without interruption, time without demand. Their thoughts aren't empty when staring out a window. They're full of flickering stories, half-built futures, memories that have softened into mist. In silence, imagination sharpens. In solitude, it takes flight. The world may ask for constant doing, but introverts often find their magic in drifting. That drift is an absence. It's presence in a different layer. It's how they solve, how they create, how they restore. Tonight, as the lights dim and the world quiets, let your mind wander too. Let it stroll softly through places you've never seen. Let it build cathedrals of thought, galaxies of color, forests that hum with story. There's no pressure to return with answers. Just let the dreaming be enough. Because in the hush of day's end, your imagination isn't idle, it's alive. They spot the hidden in behavior, in data, in feeling. Not all sight is through the eyes. Some of it happens just beneath, in the way silence folds, in the way someone's voice catches for a second too long. Introverts, with their careful attention and inward rhythm, often pick up on the things that drift past others. They don't just see, they notice a pattern, a tension, a quiet joy. Their minds connect dots, not just in data, but in people. They sense when something doesn't align, when a smile doesn't reach the eyes, when a story carries weight between the lines. In numbers, they see rhythms. In tone, they hear truth. Their gift isn't magic, it's mindfulness. Because they observe before they respond, their insights come not from volume, but from depth. They don't interrupt, they interpret. They don't assume, they attune. This sensitivity can be a soft burden. Seeing what others don't sometimes means carrying what others won't, but it's also a quiet gift, a form of presence that feels like grounding. So rest now, knowing that what you notice matters. The connections you quietly hold, the truths you gather gently, they are not lost. They shape things, they soothe things, even if they go unseen. Milestones may go unannounced, but they glow within. For some, joy is a shout. For introverts, it's often a flicker held gently behind the ribs. When something good happens, a step forward, a goal reached, a quiet personal triumph, they don't always rush to post or proclaim. They pause, they savor. Like a candle lit in a still room, their celebration glows inward. It's not about secrecy, it's about sacredness. Achievements feel personal, not because they're small, but because they're deeply felt. They may nod, they may write about it later, but in the moment, they fold the joy into themselves, like a favorite song. This can be misunderstood. Others may not see the win, the moment, the quiet pride, but it's there. It's woven into how they walk, how they speak, how they breathe a little easier for a while. Private joy doesn't mean lesser joy. It means it belongs first to the one who earned it. So if something good has bloomed inside you recently, however quietly, let it stay warm. You don't need a spotlight for your light to matter. You don't need applause to know you've grown. Let that soft, steady warmth rock you to sleep. You've done something. It counts. Even if no one else knows, you know, and that's enough. Their quiet isn't weakness. It's restraint, clarity, intention. Not every kind of power announces itself. Some strength arrives in a hush, not because it's small, but because it doesn't need to be loud. Introverts often carry this kind of strength. Their words are chosen, not spilled. Their actions are precise, not frantic. In a world that rewards noise, they are reminders that depth moves differently. To speak softly is not to lack conviction. It is to trust silence enough to hold meaning, to wait before responding, to think before deciding. Their quiet is not retreat. It is presence, tuned inward, scanning the moment for what matters most. And when they do speak, when the stillness breaks, it carries a weight that echoes longer than any shout. So if your voice has felt small today, or your energy slow. Don't confuse that for absence. Don't mistake stillness for passivity. You are not less. You are simply aligned with a different kind of rhythm, one where pause is powerful, where calm is clarity, and where strength grows not in spectacle, but in stillness. Let that quiet carry you now. The world may rush and clamor, but your strength is a tide beneath it, gentle, constant, and deep. Open plan offices, constant pinging, these drain. They work best in calm. Some minds thrive in the buzz, the flurry, the multitasking hum. But for many introverts, noise scatters focus like wind over water. Their best thinking doesn't bloom in open rooms or under blinking lights. It blossoms in quiet, not the absence of sound, but the presence of space. Productivity, for them, is not about motion. It's about depth, one thought held long enough to shape, one task done fully. In loud settings, their mind begins to fragment, not from weakness, but from sensitivity to signal. Each ping, each voice, each flickering update pulls them away from the slow current where their best work flows. This doesn't mean they're slow or unfocused. It means they're wired to build inward, not outward. In a calm environment, they can go further than most, creating, refining, listening deeply to what an idea is becoming. So if you find yourself longing for quiet, that longing is not laziness. It's the doorway to your strength. Honor it. Tonight, let all the pings fade. Let the to-do list dissolve. Let the stillness arrive like water settling in a clear glass. You are not behind. You are returning to your pace, to your way. Emails, journals, messages, writing gives them time to think, to feel, to refine. Some thoughts aren't ready to be said aloud. They need space to simmer, to soften, to unfold fully. For many introverts, writing is not just communication, it's home, a place where words can arrive without pressure, where ideas can be rearranged until they feel true. While conversations ask for quickness, writing allows for depth. It offers pause, revision, quiet courage. And in those pauses, introverts often find their clearest voice, not the loudest, but the most honest, the most layered, the most them. In writing, they don't have to guard against interruption or compete for space. The page listens, the keyboard waits, and what emerges is often more than just information. It's insight, empathy, presence. So, if you've ever felt more yourself in messages than meetings, more articulate on paper than in person, you're not broken. You're built for reflection. Your clarity is real, even if it arrives later. Let that be your peace tonight. You don't have to speak to be heard. Your thoughts are valid, even in silence, even now. Introversion is a spectrum, a quiet forest, not a single tree. There's no single way to be quiet, no perfect mold for stillness. Introversion, like a forest, holds many forms, some deep in shade, some near the edge of sunlit clearings. Some thrive in silence, others in small circles of trusted laughter. Some are dreamers, some are doers, some are both, just not all at once. It's easy to flatten quiet people into one idea, shy, reserved, withdrawn. But the truth is softer, wider. Introversion is not a cage, it's a climate, a natural habitat where reflection grows wild, where solitude nourishes rather than depletes. And in that habitat, no two beings are exactly alike. Some speak freely, then need long silence. Others rarely speak, but feel deeply. Some love crowds from the edges. Some avoid them entirely. All of it is valid. All of it belongs. So, if you've ever felt not introverted enough or too quiet to fit, remember, You're not a label, you're a landscape. Let yourself be varied. Let yourself change with the seasons. Tonight, rest in that forest. Be the branch or the root or the breeze. There is no one way to be quiet, just your way. In their minds, galaxies unfold. Deep thought, gentle emotion, wide skies, all turning in quiet rhythm. Close your eyes, and you'll find it. The vastness within, not empty, but full. Stars of memory, moons of feeling, nebulae of thought still forming. For many introverts, the external world is only half the story. Inside, another universe hums, quiet, rich, complex. They carry it everywhere. A library of ideas, a gallery of half-sketched dreams, a map of emotions traced in invisible ink. It's not escape, it's presence, it's depth. While others swim across the surface, introverts often dive beneath, discovering whole realms hidden from sight. This inner world isn't made of fantasy alone. It holds insights, connections, truths too fragile for noise. It processes slowly, but thoroughly. It remembers deeply. It wonders endlessly. To dwell here is not to withdraw. It is to expand, to rest in thought without apology, to turn inward, not away. So tonight, drift into that inner cosmos. Let your breath be a comet. Let your thoughts orbit gently. There's no pressure to explain, no need to map it out. Just float. You are not alone. You are surrounded by stars, your own.